Hello, race fans. You're listening to The Grueling Truth, where legends speak. Welcome back to another episode of the NASCAR Show. I'm your host, Alex Gray, here with Steve Risley and Bobby Sheridan of the Sheridan Report. All right, so we had a triple header this past weekend here. Atlanta, the Cup Truck and Xfinity Series. Brad Keselowski gets a win despite feeling a little under the weather. Of course, this was also the first race under this new aero package. Keselowski, Truex was second, Kurt Busch third, Kevin Harvick fourth, Clint Boyer, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, Chris Buescher, Daniel Suarez was your top 10. All right, what are y'all's thoughts on the race yesterday?
Bobby, you want to go first?
Sure. I thought it was a good race. I enjoyed watching it, and I want to thank you guys for getting me even more enthused about the race, because I watched more of the race yesterday than I normally would, and it's because of getting connected with you guys on the show every week. And I was just really, my thoughts were, first and foremost, I was really happy that our panel had the winner again. I think that's pretty cool. We three of us on there, and one of us has got the winner each week, so that's been really neat. I mentioned for myself I like two drivers, and Keselowski was one of them, but I went with Boyer, and I don't regret that, but what I do regret is that Keselowski got sick and was questionable to even race. They had his backup driver ready to go, so I didn't make a secondary bet on Keselowski. I took it on Steve's darn Elliott. So I didn't make any money on the race, and I would have at least made the Keselowski, and he was 10-1. So darn Keselowski getting sick cost me some money.
Yeah, I don't know that I would. I'm beginning to think we won't bet on the Hendrick boys again until about halfway through the season, because this is Bobby. This is or Mike or Alex. I'm sorry, I got so many people in my brain right now. This is the second year in a row now where Hendrick is off to an incredibly slow, uncompetitive start. Is this alarming for them? I mean, and I remember there was a pre-interview with Chase asking him about last season and talking about the fact that they get themselves in such a hole at the beginning of the year that they're fighting the whole second half of the season to climb out of it. Right. But I didn't really see one Hendrick car that was competitive. Did you?
No. To put it in the context, Alex Bowman was the highest finishing Hendrick driver in 15th, William Byron 17th, Chase Elliott 19th, and Jimmy Johnson was 24th, and that's where he was pretty much the entire race. Ganassi, to compare with the Chevrolets, Kurt Ganassi did really well. Kurt Busch was third. Larson led a lot of laps until having a penalty, which sent him back to 12th. JTG Daugherty, who has a technical alliance with Hendrick, actually ran relatively well. Chris Buescher getting a ninth-place finish. Ryan Preece was actually running up there with him until a mishap on pit road late in the race. So just to put that in comparison with other Chevrolets. I know it's early in the season, but it could have surprised me. I thought Chase Elliott would be up there.
So is this a Hendrick problem, or is this because, I've kind of harped on the fact that the aero package for the Camaro all through last year didn't seem fair. Then I come and watch the Mustangs come out this year, and they're eating it up, and Toyota's remained strong. Is this a Hendrick problem?
It possibly could be. I want to see how, of course, I'm a kind of guy that wants to see things play out in the next few races as well, but it is a little concerning comparing to their fast qualifying at Daytona and now this at Atlanta. It's just it does raise a little bit of an alarm.
Yeah, and I want to point out before we go any farther, Bobby threw me under the bus there, that we're 2 for 2 on wins. This panel has picked both wins, and neither of them are by me. Because I bet with my heart, not my brain. I keep picking Chase Elliott, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to rethink that for a few months because I don't think he's going to win for a while. So I congratulate both of you. You both picked the first two winners. But it does show how much of a genius panel this is, and the fact that we now are 2 for 2 in picking winners for the NASCAR race early in the season. Guys,
you'll get yours, Steve. Don't worry, you'll get in there.
Elliott will eventually win. Yeah, he'll eventually win. It'll happen at some point in the season.
No, you had Harvick.
I'll eventually get there.
I still think Chase Elliott's a championship 4 driver. I mean,
I actually, but I get concerned again because he's down, like, the Hendrick cars are all down in 17. LA's in 17th place, and I don't want to make this a Chase Elliott show, but he's digging himself a hole again where he starts, he needs an early win just to get that out of the system. I think the thing with the Hendricks is they could get an early win, they could go work on their cars, but because once you get that win, you're locked into the chase for the most part.
Yep.
Unless there's 17 winners, then you got to have 2 wins or most points or something like that. I don't think there's going to be 17 winners based on the way the Fords and the Toyotas are running right now. But if we just could knock out an early win, and then they could go back and I think maybe that's the downfall of the Hendrick team and the Chevrolets is that they don't win early, and now they've got to still dial in their aero package where if they could, with concerns of having to be competitive and score points every race, where if they just could knock out a win, get themselves locked into the chase, and then they can go back and be a little more aggressive and toying with their aero package. And maybe that's the answer there, Alex. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're kind of handcuffed right now. It's what they can do because they got to score points. They can't win, but they've got to score points. But let's talk about the big cat that was out there today. This was the introduction of the new aero package. Now, I don't think we want to be judge, jury, and executioner on the first race because every track is going to be a little different. But
right.
Bobby, Alex, were you guys impressed with the new aero package? Did it make for better racing, pack racing? Bobby, you're kind of new to the sport. Did it make it better racing for you? I mean,
well, I enjoyed the race, and I listened to a lot of the commentary because that's how I learn. Listening to you guys and listening to commentary and reading and stuff. And by all accounts, I think it did. And they commented many times about how they were able to ride side by side a lot more in Atlanta and not just follow the leader. And I think it sure did. I think by all accounts we're on the right track with that, right?
Alex, I have a little different opinion, but what do you think?
Look, I think the restarts were fun, very interesting. A lot of 3-4 wide racing there. I think you mentioned it, and I did want to say that too, that this package is going to handle differently at our tracks. Atlanta has a older, rougher surface. I think this package actually benefited a few teams. Roush looked pretty strong all weekend. Stenhouse ran relatively well until he got a penalty. Newman did good. He finished in 13th. I said it with HD Daugherty as well. Overall, I thought the race was fun. Truex was catching up to Keselowski there in the end. Almost got a really exciting finish there. So, again, I'm not going to judge anything, and some people will find ways to complain about it. But overall, I enjoyed the race yesterday.
Yeah, my takeaway was that, and Truex caught Keselowski because Keselowski was having tire issues. He was nursing his tire like crazy. The right front was going down. We saw the wear and tear come off a couple 3 cars there at the end of the race where the cord was showing, the fraying of the tires. And that's just the load being put on that from the age of the track and it being a green track, too.
Well, track beats up tires.
Yeah. But I thought the restarts were great. They got that part of it right. We had 4 wide on a lot of the restarts, but then as soon as because of the splitter size, and you can address that after I get done here, I thought the clean air definitely, the big splitter definitely gives advantage to the clean air. And it allows the lead cars, because I know, I was watching the 9 car, and he would start, I think one time he started in 6th place, and he didn't have a strong car to begin with, but yet, within a matter of 5 or 6 laps, he was 18 seconds off the pace, as were a lot of people. And you spread it back out again, and I think it gets back into a parade situation. Definitely, but all the cars you mentioned, Roush and everybody having a good time, were not Chevrolets. They were Fords, and the Toyotas remained strong. JGR remained strong. Busch came from, I believe, dead-ass last in an untested car, didn't he? Because he wrecked his car. So he came from the back of the field and moved up and was in contention within 40, 50 laps into the race, which tells you that the opportunity to pass is there. So I don't know if if the Chevrolet teams just haven't figured it out yet, or what. But, again, I just thought that in the end, except for the restarts, it got right back to the same thing of what I expect out of Atlanta, and that's kind of more of a parade where it's going to be usually, and Harvick was up there for the longest of time too, and then I don't know what happened to his car. He kind of fell off a little bit. But you got Truex in the Toyota. You got Keselowski in a Ford, and I know Kurt Busch did take a Ganassi car at Chevrolet and finished third. So you can't make a big argument about it all being about Chevrolets. But anyway, talk about the splitter, what the splitter does and how that affects the aero package and gives the advantage to the guys out front.
So if I'm correct, with this new aero package, they increased the splitter size by like 2 inches or something like that. And I think what it did, early in the race, excuse me, sore throat. 2-inch overhang. So beginning of the race, Amarola had a huge lead, obviously. Then you saw it later on with Larson. But I felt like that changed a little bit later on in the race. I felt like, the lead changed. Matt Weaver put on here there were 8 leaders and 25 lead changes in this race, so very similar to last year's race, actually. You saw Keselowski lead, you saw Harvick lead, Ryan Blaney, Amarola. There's some different leaders then and there. But I do think clean air still plays a big advantage with this aero package. As you can tell, Amarola he really took off there at the beginning of the race, in which Amarola goes on to finish 8th. And you mentioned the Chevrolets. JTG Daugherty Racing is a Chevrolet team, and Chris Buescher finishing 9th. So, looking at the splitter, I think that plays an advantage to more of the clean air. And again, we'll see how this reacts at other tracks like Vegas, Kentucky, Auto Club, Michigan, and wherever else.
Any controversy in this race? I know there was a couple of cars that they positioned wrong, and NASCAR took the heat, or they waived a penalty on it. Was it the 19 car coming in saying they had got over the wall too soon? Then they revoked that penalty. Any controversies? Any penalties expected coming out of this race?
Excuse me. Keselowski passed through his inspection fine. They took in Kevin Harvick's car, but just to look at it, it was for NASCAR information. Matt DiBenedetto and Ty Dillon had 1 loose lug nut. Besides that, it looks like there's not really a whole lot of penalties, no penalties coming from this week. So we're off to a decent start when it comes to the penalties.
Yeah, and for both you guys, one of the things you heard on when they were playing and Bobby, I don't know how much you actually watched the entire race, or if you did or not, great. But Truex Jr. pissing and moaning about lap traffic, and how that was causing him to not be able to catch up to Keselowski. What's the deal there with lap traffic? I mean, what do you do with those guys? I mean, they're running the race. They're in there. They've paid their money. They paid their dues. Most of the time I see those guys try and get out of the lane, get out of the line, and give the charging car your preferred space. Is it just sour grapes because he can't catch him, or are there legitimate beefs about lap cars?
I mean, I don't know what you could do there. I mean, it's just
is there anything?
It's just part of the race. It's just part of racing. I could understand why Truex could be upset, but overall, in the end, it's just part of racing. And I know all those cars out there, they're racing as hard as they can. They're doing the best they can with what they got. So.
All right. Anything else we need to cover on this show? We'll do a big show on Wednesday where we'll kind of wait for if any penalties come down. But, it was pretty much an uneventful NASCAR race. Bobby, any observations on your part?
No, I just had I enjoyed watching the race, like I said, and I was pulling for Boyer, and he had a top 5 car. He just didn't have a top 3 car. He was right there the whole time and couldn't make that push, and it's just always interesting to me as I'm learning more and watching closely, like the amount of laps that Blaney and Larson led, yet they're not around at the end. And, that can happen. And that's just really interesting to me. It's fascinating to get back there in that back. And sometimes you can't get it back up, but then other times it's easy to get back up. So you guys know all about that stuff more than I do, but I just thought that was interesting.
Well, and that's a good question. Alex, Boyer's got good equipment. I mean, but he's either winning or he's not competitive.
But he was very competitive Sunday, Steve. He was
for a period of time, but then he starts to, where'd he end up finishing in the race?
He was fifth.
Boyer looked pretty fast throughout all the entire weekend. And he was up.
Right.
Yeah, he had a fast car, and he had in the race on Sunday. He had a top, from anywhere from 3 to 7 or 8. He was in there the whole time. He just didn't have a top 1 or 2 car. But my point I made was that Larson and Blaney, they had a top 1 or 2 car, but they wound up finishing in the back because they got back there for whatever reason and couldn't get back up to the front.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. That's my view of it.
Yeah.
I'm just going over all the headline news here from NASCAR.com and see what else they say. Explain no O'Connor. We talked about that. Number 2 car clears. Any other? I mean, what else on the other races? Kyle Busch wins the truck race, right? And he's now at 200 wins, I think, total for all the top 3 series.
Yeah, he became the all-time wins leader in the truck series. With that,
and he holds the same thing in Xfinity, right?
He was not in the Xfinity race. Xfinity race, Christopher Bell was.
No, but he holds all-time wins.
He holds all-time wins.
Yeah, he passed Mark Martin last year.
All right.
He's got 30. What they say? 30 something NASCAR wins.
I'll have to check for you.
Yeah. Let's go more than that. He's got over 50 in both the trucks and
truck series. Let's see here. Yeah, he's got 52 wins in the truck series, 92 in Xfinity. Yeah.
How much you got in Xfinity?
92.
92 wins in Xfinity. Wow, amazing.
Yep.
So that would put the rest of it in the Cup Series. So,
yeah,
is he the best driver in NASCAR right now?
He's definitely one of the best of our time. In my opinion, he's definitely one of the best drivers of our time, for sure. And I can see Kyle Busch probably he'll win more championships. I'd be stunned if he retired with only 1 title. But NASCAR's pretty competitive. We'll see.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? We go to Atlanta. We go to Las Vegas, right?
Correct.
Bobby, you going to be there at the race?
No, I won't be there at the race. No, I could be though. I'm not gonna go, and I just don't have the time to invest being out there all day. But I'll tell you what, Steve, if you want to go to the Auto Club one day and take me, I will sure go with you.
That's another boring track.
I know, but we're both here in Southern California. I would, if you get.
We'll go. We'll definitely. Yeah, when the Auto Club comes into town, we'll go. Yeah, I go out there for a day. We'll see if we can get some hot passes for the day somehow through Grilling Truth, and do that. So, what do we expect in Las Vegas, Alex?
Well, Las Vegas, of course, has the newer surface. I just wanted to bring up a few things real quick. Fox TV earned 3.0 overnight from yesterday's race, off slightly from 3.1 from last year. However, NASCAR is still the top-rated sports event for the second straight weekend. NASCAR Xfinity Series, Christopher Bell ended up winning that race. Cole Custer second, Justin Allgaier third, Brandon Jones, Tyler Reddick, Jeffrey Earnhardt sixth, Ryan Preece, Justin Haley, Noah Gragson, Austin Cindric top 10. And, of course, you mentioned the Truck Series, Kyle Busch being the winner there. For Las Vegas, they tested the aero package at this track. And I think maybe, this track won't be as hard on the tires as Atlanta was. So, I'm not really sure what to expect, except we could see maybe some closer racing. It's kind of hard to say.
It's a faster track. Isn't Vegas a faster track? Or am I thinking of Texas?
Yeah, I agree. I think Vegas is a little bit faster track.
Yeah, and so it's a little higher banked, isn't it?
Correct. Las Vegas.
So it's less. The higher the banking, the less wear and tear you put on the tires.
Yeah, Vegas had that big renovation back in 2007, in which, if I'm correct, that banking has about 20 degrees in the banking, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know the degree, but I know it's a higher bank track, which makes for more speeds. And they, I know at one point they were slowing cars down, trying to slow cars down on that track. Did we notice any? Because they dropped the horsepower down to 550 horsepower with the new spacer, didn't they? Did we notice any fall off in speed off these cars in Atlanta?
I didn't really pay too much attention to the speeds, and I really didn't pay too much attention. I didn't really catch the speeds exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, in terms of Atlanta, yeah, my opinion of first shot at the new package was it didn't impress me any more than what we've seen before. I mean, it didn't hurt anything. I thought the restarts were better, but you did have 4 wide restarts. But again, as soon as everybody got up to speed and they started spreading out a little bit, and the cars up front, the stretch got back into the 10 to 12 to 14 second range, which doesn't lend itself to the ability to pass and get up front. There are certain cars that are doing well. I don't know if that's the driver base, because you take a Kyle Busch who comes up from nowhere out of dead-ass last and moves all the way to the front in a matter of laps and passes pretty much everybody else. I think that's a lot more talent in driving than it is, bunching cars back up together to make the racing more exciting. But again, like you said, let's give it 4, 5, 6 tracks before we decide. And I think even NASCAR admitted that they've got to dial it in. They got to tweak too. They said it didn't produce exactly what they wanted, but it was it was a start in the right direction for them, is I think what NASCAR came out and said.
I also pulled up some speed differences from qualifying last year and this year. So last year, Kyle Busch got the pole this is just comparing to qualifying, with a 30.24 speed of 184 miles an hour. This year, Eric Almirola with a 30.550, 181 miles an hour.
So not much of a fall off.
Yeah, just a slight fall.
Engineers figured out, don't they? They take horsepower away, and they know how to do the arrows and get the aero package going. They'll find the speed somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting question for you guys. Jeffrey Earnhardt. He's starting to become a little bit more of a competitive driver this year. Am I right?
Yeah, Jeffrey Earnhardt was relatively impressive. Ran in the top 10 most of the race. With 3 laps to go, he was second on the restart. Of course, the outside line wasn't playing to anyone's favor, so that kind of pushed him back a few spots. But overall, Jeffrey Earnhardt's really been impressive these first 2 races.
How important is that to NASCAR to continue to have an Earnhardt name in the lineup? I mean, is really the legacy kind of dialed with Little E? Or
obviously, I feel like a lot of junior fans kind of looked at Jeffrey and like, I want to see this Earnhardt do well, and I think that's another reason why Jeffrey's the kind of guy, like, he didn't want to drive for Junior because he wanted to go his own way. He didn't want to be given the ride, basically. He wanted to work for it, and he got a big opportunity here with Coach Gibbs, and I think you got to respect Jeffrey for that. He's obviously Junior's proud of him. He said it before. He's like, I'm proud of Jeffrey. I could have given him a ride if he wanted it. So I think Jeffrey's done a great job. Led most of the stage, won at Daytona, Atlanta, did great. Got shuffled back a little bit. I personally believe he could win a race in one of the races he's driving in this year.
Is he going to just be a kind of a part-time driver in the Cup, or is he pretty much going to stick just to Xfinity?
What the deal is his sponsor, Extreme Concepts, is actually going to have a team that's under a Joe Gibbs alliance. They will attempt 2 Cup races for Jeffrey in a number 81 Toyota, and he will drive a few more Xfinity races because of it as well.
So he didn't have a full-time ride for the entire season.
Yeah, so hopefully, I call it the Ryan Preece method. Giving this a driver some really good equipment, part-time rides, see what he does, And, Ryan Preece got a full-time Cup ride this year, and I think the same thing could happen to Jeffrey eventually.
Yeah. All right. Alex, anything else we need to cover on it's a post-race show? We'll have our big show on Wednesday. Anything else we need to go over that strikes you right now we need to talk about?
Nothing that I can think of.
Bobby, do you have any kind of pre-lines? I know you're going to wait and announce your picks but looking at, have you done any research on this track at all?
No, I really haven't yet, Steve. I was going to really tackle that
that's fine.
more tomorrow. Let me see. I can get online right now and see. No, there's nothing.
No. That's okay, because I'm going to save that for Wednesday anyway, because that's when you do it. But this is the Bush's home track. I mean, this is where Kyle and Kurt are from. They both grew up in Vegas.
Yeah, they are, and Kyle's going to be itching for a win. You know that. And Kurt was very competitive at Atlanta. He had a good car and did a great job. And one thing I did want to mention on this show before we hung up is you mentioned Christopher Bell. I mean, that young guy, he's going to be just a tremendous addition to the Cup racing when he gets his ride, and it's coming soon. I mean, that guy is just a fabulous driver and a racer, and my dad has been touting him for the last couple of years. He's just a young guy. I think he might only be 19 or 20, but he has that Tony Stewart, Kyle Larson pedigree. He's a midget racer, and he's killing them in all the midgets, and then he goes in the Xfinity. He's killing them there now, and he's going to be a great racer for the Cup Series, and I'm looking forward to see who gets him. Alex, do you know where he's going to, what ride is he going to get, or is there any rumors on that?
Which ride are you referring to again?
Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell. Yeah, good question, because I think a lot of people believe that he could potentially replace Denny Hamlin, but after that Daytona 500 win, I don't think so. I think Denny's got 5 or 6 good seasons left, or even more. So I don't really know where he could go. Perhaps maybe somebody else could take him in, or perhaps Levine family could start up a second car, depending on sponsorship. It's hard to say, but I think Christopher Bell will most likely be a Cup driver next year full time. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. He's tremendous, and I've gotten to watch him live a couple times at the Turkey Night Grand Prix. My dad really enjoys going there, and he's had some good racing with Kyle Larson at that thing. And Steve, maybe we can go to that thing. That's in November for Thanksgiving. We used to go to Irwindale, and lately it's been up in Paris. It was at Paris Auto Speedway, but in the last 2 years it's been at Ventura. So.
Oh, okay. Ventura. Yeah, it's a good golf course over there. We'll go play golf and then go to the race.
Yeah. But anyways, I just want to mention Christopher Bell because he got the win this weekend. So.
Yeah, it was a big win for him. Yeah, I know they're excited.
On Twitter, he was last question.
Alex, what's been the Bush's success at Vegas? I mean, I know they're from there. Have they done well at that track? I can't even really recall. It seems to be Truex seems to dominate that track in the last few years, is off the top of my head. Have the Bushes had much success in Vegas?
I know Kyle Busch got one win there, but I think in terms of the Cup Series, and I think that's it.
So really, truly, although we say it's their hometown and we're all hot and bothered by the strong run in Atlanta, that track has not been overly favorable to the Busch brothers.
Yeah, I don't think there's much home track advantage. As we saw, Chase Elliott didn't have too much of a good run at his home track in Atlanta. So
I think that's an equipment issue more than anything. But so again, Truex though, but is my recollection, he seems to have been the dominant car in Vegas for the last 3 years. Is that a pretty fair assessment?
Yeah, if you want to take a look at who won this race since 2014, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, and Brad Keselowski. Those have been your last.
There you go. Well, there you go, yeah.
So really 3 big names.
3 big names that dominate this race, yeah. So there you go, Bobby. You start making your odds. There's where you start picking.
Yeah, and at one point during the Atlanta race, the thought crossed my mind that we had the big 3 right there again in the top 5. The big 3.
Well, they brought that up. The big 3's back. Yeah, the big 3's back again.
So, yeah. But hey, there's always stuff that comes up that we'll get to, and for the fans and the listeners, catch us on Wednesday night or Thursday or whenever during the week, because we're going to try to go 3 for 3 on the panel. Steve, don't sell yourself short.
I'll try and help you guys, although I don't know. I don't know. I don't pick winners well. I'm not that good at that stuff like you guys are. All right.
All right, guys. Sounds good.
Wrap it up.
Yep.
All right. We'll be on Wednesday. Go ahead and fill us in and tell us what we're doing Wednesday.
All right. Wednesday, we're going to be looking to the next race weekend at Las Vegas for the Pennzoil 400, as well as talking about some other NASCAR news and any news that could have broken out in the next couple of days. And, that's pretty much what we're looking forward to on the show on Wednesday. So, without further ado, for Bobby Sheridan, Steve Risley, and myself, Alex Gray, this has been the NASCAR Show. Congratulations to Brad Keselowski for winning the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. And you're listening to the Grueling Truth where Legends Speak. We will see you next time.